Welcome back to the Sherwood Urban Farm, where my aim is to inspire you to have your own vegetable garden in your backyard to grow your vegetables for your family. I want to give you some context. This is a kitchen garden which I use the no-dig approach with raised beds, mulched twice a year with homemade compost. In the pods I place wood chips, which keeps my boots clean and increases soil fertility. I make all my own compost, and I've even started using it in my greenhouse for my seed starts, and I'm very impressed with it. It's really doing well. Let's have a look at this bed first. So this bed I had originally designated for cabbages, and I have a couple in. There's a tiny one there, and there's another one there, but the other ones, they just didn't do so well. And then I had bought from the store, from the nursery, I bought, I thought was for broccoli plants. Turns out that 2 of them were cauliflower, and they were doing beautiful, and then the ducks got in. So my chickens are, they're in a run now, indefinitely. Don't know when I'm going to let them back into the garden. But right now they're in a run, but we let the ducks out. And the wind blew the gate open on an occasion, and they took out all the leaves, and I mean it was beautiful. It was just going to be a beautiful broccoli. It didn't, so I've already picked the first little head that it did have, and now it is sprouting some of the smaller heads on the side, little florets, and that's fine because it will do that for at least a month. So it's okay, win some you lose some. But what has really frustrated me is that I've been having in this bed and another bed, I've been having these grubs. So I've did some research. First I thought it was a cutworm. It turns out it's not cutworm. It's these grubs of beetles. It can be various beetles, what we call Christmas beetles. They call them June beetles in the States. It can be CMR beetles. They all sort of look the same, and they curl up like this, but they come in from underneath and they start eating the roots. So now I've got a gap there. Just this morning, one of my radish, which I had interplanted amongst the cabbage, because cabbage can take quite long, so I thought I'll use all the space. So I interplanted that, and I've lost a number of them. So I've just replaced them. I dig in, I do eventually find the worm. And so you'll see there's a couple of smaller ones, and then these are the bigger radish. I harvest the leaves for the rabbits, and then and I get the radishes myself. And I never really thought I'd like radish, but I really do. It's quite nice. I did, however, plant some cabbage here. This is the first time that I'm planting cabbage in this bed. I wasn't going to do it, but the space is available. It doesn't get too hot, gets afternoon sun, and I'm going to move these strawberries in the spring anyways, when the cabbage will be ready for harvesting. So far it's really going really well. I'm very impressed with them. I have to keep checking under the leaves for aphids and those little green worms. They are such a pain, but it seems they haven't really got into the side of the garden yet. So this is where the cabbage is going to be. They're all along down here and then along there as well. So in this bed, I've got coriander. It looks a bit sort of messed up because there's no rows. It's not all neat. But these were self-seeded. So I left them, and I'm so happy I did, because I feed them to the rabbits and sometimes to the chickens, but not often. The rabbits mainly get it. And then I harvest. I mean, I'm harvesting from this every day. I have got a couple of lettuce along there. They actually were self-seeded, so I was happy for that. I leave the nasturtiums because the rabbits eat that as well. And then I also planted a couple of Swiss chard. They're multi-sown. The idea is that I don't want the really big leaves. I just wanted smaller leaves for salads, but then also to feed the rabbits some nice fresh greens out of the garden. Now I love this bed. It's under the lemon tree, so in the summer it normally doesn't get much sun at all. But in the winter, the sun is so low, and then it shines across here, and it's just perfect for lettuce. I grew these in my greenhouse from seed. This is the Myro one, and this one is Vera. I also have, here are some of my onions, which I grew from seed. I only got 4. I'm obviously not very good at growing onions from seed. Anyways, they are here. And then over here, these are supposed to be sets. Now, with the sets, you can take almost like pickling sized onions. This is what it is, pickling sized onions, but they're a little bit too big. And that's all the shop had at the time. But if you can get smaller ones, then you just pop them in on top of the soil, or you can start them out in a seed tray, however, and they will start growing, and then they will, you know, bulk out and become proper big onions. But these ones are a little bit bigger than I had anticipated or had wanted, but that's fine. It's an experiment. It's the first time I've done it this way. It just helps it to go a little bit faster because onions do take really long. On the other side, between the lettuce, I have intercropped with, there's also onions. There are red onions and white onions. Now those I bought as spring onions, and I just popped them into the soil, and they are growing beautifully in amongst the lettuce. And to fill in the gaps, I've got turnips and radish, and on the other side I've got some baby spinach. In South Africa we call it baby spinach, in the rest of the world they call it spinach. And so I've got that there. I have lost a couple of lettuce plants here, also to those cutworms. So I moved the ones that were there, I just moved them to try and fill in the bed so that it looks nice. So these ones are a little bit tiddly at the moment, but they should recover after they move and look pretty again. I kept the nasturtiums over there because actually what they're doing is the aphids are loving them. So aphids, they're sort of like a sacrifice plant, and then I also feed that to the chickens and to the rabbits. So this year I thought I am going to just put peas in everywhere. I didn't get them in everywhere because of the way the sun is, etc., etc. And then I had planted so much in the greenhouse, so I needed space for that as well. But I have had such a good harvest from these peas. Some of them have already died back, but that's okay. I will put in my next crop as soon as the peas are done. But really amazed, I'll show you. I mean, last season when I grew peas, I didn't get them this long. I'll open it up. Let's have a look how many are in here. That's 10 peas in one pod. I saw it on the photos. I mean, I just wasn't getting it. And then I have intercropped with some of my snap peas here. Not that many. I see the little stink bugs. Sorry, just got to get rid of that one. They also have realized that there's some good stuff here. It's because we've had some hot weather, unusually hot weather for about 3 days in a row. It's starting to cool down again now. And then they've obviously hatched out and done whatever they do. However, all in all, I'm really happy with this bed. I've also got some peas on this side. I really tried to squish in as many peas as I could wherever the sun was coming in at this time of the year. So in this bed, I have 4 eggplants. I was planning on cutting them right down, but then there's some flowers on them. So we'll see how it goes. Like I said, there's still 2 cold months, maybe even 3 in our area. Normally, July and August, it gets really cold. So I'll see how we go with that. And then you must be wondering, what on earth am I still keeping these kale for? They look like trees. But until my kale in the bed I'm going to show you now have actually they're grown and they're producing better, then I'm going to keep these here. They produce these tiny little leaves on the side, and it's mainly just fodder for the animals. Helps on the feed bill, so I'm all for that. Down at the bottom here, I've still got some, it was that orange, if you look at one of my videos, it's that orange sweet potato. So what I've done is I've left it in there, and then I just stick my hand in, I pull out some sweet potato as I want them in the kitchen, and then it just keeps growing. I will probably take, in spring, I'll probably take some cuttings and plant them in a whole bed of just of these sweet potatoes. Right, so here are the kale that my replacement kale for those tall ones that I was telling you about. And then on this side I have got some more, well, I've got tomato. I've got a tomato plant. I've harvested a number of little cherry tomatoes from it. It grows all along there. I've got some tomatoes over there. Most unusual to have tomatoes at this time of the year, but I'm super grateful for it. And then here are bell peppers. I don't know how long it's going to take for these to start to ripen or to change color, because the sun doesn't shine here. It's not going to shine here for at least another month or so. And then on that side I have some more coriander, and then another row of bell peppers which I've pruned down for the next growing season. And then there are frilly lettuce, Swiss chard, some more frilly lettuce, that variety, some more coriander, and then some more Swiss chard and lettuce. Now the reason I have all of that here is because this area doesn't get much sun, but those plants like your coriander and your Swiss chard and your lettuce, they will do really well in a little bit of sun and mainly shade. I found they actually give better, bigger lettuce, and they don't bolt to seed, and they also are they're sweeter. They're not, like if there's too much sun, then often you'll find your lettuce will be bitter. So this is a volunteer itzer bean, and I grew them in summer and I didn't have great success because of the stink bugs. Like I said earlier on, we've had this warm weather, so that's why they're out again. But otherwise, it's doing so well. It's growing all the way up here. You can see the beautiful little flowers, and it's even started forming little pods. So I'm so excited. I actually think what I should do next season is plant them possibly in about April, and instead of trying to plant them in the warmer months when they got red spider mite and they just had all these stink bugs all over them. I have got, here's my little cherry tomatoes as well. I've been harvesting from them. This I'm going to leave until spring when I'll put in my other cherry tomato plants. So I'm really excited about this bed. These are nantes carrots. I have grown javelin, which I was very impressed with. Then I couldn't get that again in the supermarket or at the nursery, so then I bought ideal red. They weren't so ideal, but I've noticed that the market gardeners really like the nantes ones, so I'm quite excited. They came up beautifully. I need to thin them out, but they're growing so well, so I should be able to harvest in about maybe 2 months or so from now. I'll keep you updated on what this harvest is going to look like. Maybe I'll do a little video on my nantes carrot harvest. So here I have carrots, the ideal red carrot, and then I have some radish and some radish on that side of the carrot, but you'll notice I still have some bell peppers. So my plan is, and what I have done is I cut some of them down for next season, that they will sprout out again. But these ones had they had blossoms on them. So then I thought, okay, I'll leave them, because I felt bad now to try and cut them down, and they actually got flowers. But we'll see how we go with that, because it's only the end of June now. July, August, sometimes even into September, it can get really cold in our area, so they might not make it. But I thought, let me leave them. I got the most beautiful red bell peppers off of this plant, and it's looking great. It's still looking good. So this is my little experiment. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I learned from it, right? So here we have some more carrots, because carrots you can grow throughout the year in our area. And in between the carrots, so I had 4 rows of carrots. I've harvested those. Ideal red again, not so ideal. They've got aphids. Some little worms have been on them. I'll spray them with some insecticidal soap to get rid of the aphids. But then I have intercropped with the carrots came out, I stuck in beetroot. These are red globe beetroot, crimson globe, and they're multi-sown. So if you look at some of my other videos which I have about beetroots and multi-sowing, you can do 3 or 4 plants in the same little spot, and then as the first one gets bigger, then you harvest that, and you go along, you harvest the biggest ones first. So you're really maxing out the area that you've got to sow in, and you're getting the most. On that side, I have Oregon snap peas. Now my Oregon snap peas, I saved these seed from plants. I bought seed online. It's quite expensive. You can't get it in the shops here. So these ones, there are 3 per little planting station. I saved them from seed, like I said. And this is sort of the second in the same season. I just saved them and I planted them immediately again. Let them dry a bit. I love the snap peas. Now, to me, that makes a lot more sense than if you have like the green fest that you can get in all the supermarkets and in all the nurseries, but you really just can't get the snap pea. Now, my problem with the green fest is that you've got that pod and then you've got a couple of peas inside. So I don't think that's real good value for money. So that's why I'm going to save a lot of seed from these plants, so that next season I'll be able to just plant the snap peas, which you can put in stir fries, you can put it in your salad. That's if it makes it out of the garden in the first place, because I just eat it right here in the garden. I still got this poor little tiddly eggplant. I feel sorry for it. It's still alive. I'm hoping maybe in the next growing season, because they are perennial, it might give me some fruit. We'll have to wait and see. This bed's a bit of a disappointment. It was okay. It was going okay. I've harvested some carrots out of here, and I kept sort of interplanting things. But just 2 days ago, I left the gate open. It was my bad. It was really for a few seconds. And the little duckies, I turned around and there they were, and they were just trotting on everything. They trod on my onions that I have there. I mean, you can see they just sort of squashed everything there. Anyways, it is what it is. I love my ducks. I'm not going to get rid of them. I'm sure that these will come up again. They will shoot out their new leaves and they'll be fine. But it is a little bit disappointing, to say the least. Here we are in the front garden of the Sherwood Urban Farm. And I have just wanted to quickly show you, the last thing is the Swiss chard that I have grown here. Last year I grew cabbage in this spot and it just doesn't get enough light. So this is going much better. I'm really impressed with it. We had extremely hot weather on the weekend and they took a bit of strain, so some of the leaves have flopped over, but I'm sure that they will recover just fine. I have got this little fencing up for the dogs because I don't want them racing through here or digging up my Swiss chard. Thank you for watching the tour, my little winter tour of 2021. I will probably do another video at the end of winter to see how the crops have survived over the very cold months. Let me know in the comments what you've been growing in your winter garden, and please like and subscribe and share with your friends if you found this video useful or if you enjoyed watching it.